Good evening to all of you. So, guys, today is our revision class of B.Ed topics, which we have already covered between September 19 to December 19, right? According to Kurukshetra University syllabus. So, guys, after the December, what happened? Actually, examinations of B.Ed students of Punjabi University Patiala started. So, we were busy over there. So today on 13th March, we are again resuming your classes, right? So today, first of all, we will revise the topic which we have already covered during your 3-month classes. So then after revisions of all the topics, we will go on, right, students? So guys, these are the around, 10 topics we have already covered, your classes during September 19 to December 19, right? The first topic is education psychology, growth and development, adolescents need and problem, teaching and learning, trial and error theory given by Thorndike, classical conditioning theory given by the Pavlov, intelligence and its theory, Indian Education Commission 1964-66, national policy on education 86, and lesson plan, right? So guys, I will go quickly because I have to cover all the 10 topics, right? Because you have already got this lecture, individual links you have already got, right? Because today I'm resuming the classes, so that's why I don't want to start straightforward, okay? But just I want to revise where you have done, and we will start from where we have left, right, guys? So one by one, I start the topic. So first, I'm going to start with the educational psychology, right? So I'll go quickly, right, so that you will come to know these all topics we have already done, right? So the first topic is educational psychology. Side by side we will see from the other slide, okay? One is first topic is educational psychology. This is your first topic of the first paper, childhood and growing up, right? So education psychology means psychology, as you know, that it has derived from the words psyche and logo. Psyche means soul and logo means science. The meaning of a psychology is science of the soul. But later this definition discarded because there is a no, we cannot see the soul by our, physical eyes, huh? Right? So in the year of 1905, William McDougall gave the scientific definition of a psychology as the science of behavior, right? Skinner has already said that psychology is the science of behavior and experience, right? Driver हुए हैं, all the students requested, please you can mute your audio and video, some disturbance is coming, right? According to the driver, behavior is classified into the 3 category. One is cognitive, one is cognitive, and one is affective behavior, right? Cognitive behavior includes your thinking, your reasoning, knowledge, experience, right? Cognitive behavior is related with your activities, right? Like doing something, mental energy, innate forces, right? Like swimming, cycling. Cognitive behavior is that. And affective behavior is related with your emotions, right? Your sentiments, values. So basically, psychology, the meaning of psychology, the definition of a psychology is science of behavior, right? Science, we already know, science is a systematical step, and behavior includes the 3 things. So guys, any of the person who are putting up on this planet, okay, either they have these all 3 behaviors, cognitive, and affective, depending upon whether some has dominant of cognitive behavior and some also have the cognitive, some have cognitive and affective behavior, right? So that's why this definition is valid, psychology as a science of behavior, which was given by the McDougall in 1905, right? So now our topic is basically educational psychology, right? Psychology is the science of behavior, we already done, and education is the modifications of the behavior, right? So modern aims of education bhi kya kehta hai? The modern aim of education says that there should be a harmonious development of the child, of the personality of the child, right? So it is the task of the schools and teachers to create such kind of a situations where the personality can be developed freely and fully, right? So being of a teacher, because after doing the B.Ed, now you are going to become a teacher, okay? So you don't have to stick on the content matter, right? We have to finish this syllabus. Basically, you have to improve the personality of the student. You have to motivate the student, okay? Student will learn by themselves, guys, okay? Don't think that we are teaching to the students, that's why students are getting a good marks. They will get the marks according to their IQ level, okay? What is the role of the teacher? The role of the teacher is to stimulate the learning power of the student, okay? You have to develop the personality of the student freely and fully. Anna mentioned. Skinner has said that education psychology is that branch of the psychology which deals with teaching and learning, right? Next, we talk about nature and characteristics of educational psychology. So first of all, educational psychology is the applied branch of fundamental psychology, right? Always remember, what is the meaning of a applied? Applied means you are working, means it is a related with the, activity. It is a applied. So basically education psychology, the principle, the applications of a education psychology, right, involves in the educational process in order to solve the problems, educational problems, because our education is a full of problems, right? So with the help of education psychology, we solve the problems. Next, nature or characteristics kya hai? It is a science of behavior of the learner learning process in the learning situation, right? It combines two fields, education and psychology, right? Next, it is scientific study of human behavior in educational situation. It is concerned with these factors, principles, techniques which relate to various aspects of child's growth and development. It is the application of a psychological principles to the field of education. Yes, this is the important. Okay, you have to remember what is the education psychology. Basically, it is the applications of the psychological principle to the field of education in order to solve educational problems, right? In order to solve problems. So next, what is the need and importance of education psychology for teachers? Right, guys? So you have come to know why this topic, childhood and growing up, your first paper, has already introduced in the KU syllabus, right? So why, what is the need of education psychology for the teachers? Number one, it offers strategies and methods to help the teacher to understand the student psychology. This is the most important line, guys. Okay. Basically, don't think that again and again, I'm telling you, okay, because there is a lot of problems in, among the teachers, they stick to the content knowledge. Okay. You don't have to stick on the content knowledge. Okay. You should know the pedagogical knowledge also, right? Dekho, first line, what is telling the first line? Need and importance of education psychology for teacher. You have to know the psychology of the student first. You should know the student first, right? Once you come to know the student first, you can easily, whatever you have in the mind, you can, pass to these students, right? So this is the, it is the, need of education psychology is important for teachers. It aids the teacher to study the ability, interest, intelligence, needs, and adopt different techniques of teaching for effective communication, right? Education psychology again deals with the topic such as learning, growth and development, intelligence, personality, right? Organize subject matters to determine how teaching can be made more effective. Okay, if you want to make your teaching more effective, so guys, you have to become a psychologist. Even if, I say that if you are a teacher, unless or until you are not a good psychologist, you cannot become a good teacher. Unless you are not good philosopher, you cannot become a good teacher, right? So you have the knowledge of psychology also, because you are dealing with the human beings. It also organizes the subject matters, right? To evaluate the influence, the curriculum changes which may be needed to make learning more relevant to the cultural setting. And last, to solve learning problems, selective suitable materials that relate to the student's background. Right? What is the scope of education psychology? It deals with the human behavior, the learner, the learning experience, growth and development, teacher, heredity and environment, personality, individual difference, intelligence, and guidance and counseling. In fact, the scope is, a lot of scope of education psychology, right? Whatever is happening in the education system, it includes all the topics, right, guys? So this is all about your educational psychology, right, guys? So next, one by one, education psychology we done. The second topic is growth and development, right, guys? So I'm going to open the PPT of a growth and development. So growth and development, this is your, syllabus of growth and development, KU syllabus of growth and development. Okay, we start with the growth and development. Growth and development, under this topic, we will study meaning and definition of growth, characteristics of growth, then development, again, characteristics of a development, and last we will talk about the difference between growth and development, right, guys? So these topics I have already discussed. So today is a revision class. That's why I'm going, speedily. So what is the meaning of growth? So you should know about the growth and development of the child, right? Growth can be defined as a quantitative changes in an individual's body. Growth is related with size, height, and weight, as well as also increase of heart, brain, muscles, and other parts in general, which can be easily measured, right? What is the meaning of a growth? Growth means quantitative changes, which we can measure. Size we can measure, weight we can measure, right? So Herlock has given the definition. Growth can be defined as the change in size, in proportion, disappearance of the old features and acquisitions of new one. Frank has said that the change that occurs in any physical aspects are known as growth, right? So whatever physical, appearance, there is a change in the physical appearance is called the growth. You already know that. So growth refers to the increase in physical size of whole or any of its part can be measured, right? Next, what is the characteristics of a growth? It is a structural and physiological changes happens, within the individual. It is a external in nature. It doesn't continue throughout life and stop. It stopped at a certain age. Size or weight, if size is going increasing up to a one stage, it stops, right? It may or may not bring development. Quantitative changes hai, part of development hai. Individual differences among children are due to growth. Even twins has the difference between them due to growth and development. That's why we are doing the growth and development, because education psychology has told us we have to know the student first. The rate of a growth of different parts of the body is different. It can be measured accurately, influences the process of a development, but not always. Now we talk about the development. What is a development? Development is a wider and comprehensive concept. It includes the growth also, right, guys? And development is related with the physical, emotional, intellectual, cognitive changes occur, right? And development you cannot measure, only you can observe and assess the development. Skinner has said that development is a continuous and gradual process. Why it is a gradual? Because it starts with the birth of the child and goes up to the death of the child, right? According to the Stevenson, can you hello? Yes, can you mute all of you? Yes, thank you so much. Stevenson has said that development is concerned with the study of changes in so all the students are requested. Can you mute? Can you mute yourself? Yes, thank you so much.
और दूसरे रोज को रेड कर देती थी, ऐसे अलग अलग कलर देने थे, फिर एक जड़ से आ जाने थे। एक घंटे में हो जाएगा सब कुछ।
Excuse me, student. Can you mute yourself? Can you mute? Okay. Sister Susan, I think Susan Thomas is, Sister Susan, please mute yourself. Thank you so much. Next, it is the characteristics of the development. What is the characteristics of the development? It overall and progressive change of an individual. It is a internal in nature. It continues process throughout the life. I have already said that now development starts from the birth of the child and goes up to the death of the child, right? It also involves psychological changes within an individual. It is a qualitative changes. Now, what was growth? Growth was quantitative changes. You learn now. Ye always this questions comes in the short marks of there is a one short note now. All the 5 questions you have to attempt. It always come. What is the difference between growth and development? It influenced by maturations and learning. It is very much related to one's environment. It is a qualitative in nature, and it occurs even without the growth. You have seen that now. Some has the short height, but development is going on, right, guys? So now the last topic of this growth and development is difference between growth and development, right? So when this question comes, so you can bifurcate like that, and you can write all the difference between growth and development, right, guys? So this is all about the educational psychology, right? So our next topic is adolescents need and problem, right? So we talk about the adolescents need and problem. So I'm going to start my third slide. Adolescents need and problem. Adolescents need and problem. So we start with adolescents need and problem. Okay, so it is requested to all the students, please you can put your audio video off. Okay, later on I will discuss with you. This is going to be recorded. You will get the recorded session of this. So please put your audio video off, all of you, right? So okay, this is the next topic. Adolescents, need and problem of adolescents. Under this we will discuss meaning of adolescents, emotional and social characteristics of adolescents, right? And lastly, need and problems of adolescents, right, guys? So adolescents, basically it is derived from the Latin word adolescere, which means to grow up, right? So adolescent occurs, it is a physical and psychological human development, generally occurs between childhood and adulthood, right? So जो teenage होती है, teenage is called the adolescent, 13 to 19, right? It comes between the childhood and adulthood, right? Adolescent. So Stanley Hall, yes, students, this is an important definition. All of you, you must remember. Adolescent as a period of great pain and stress, storm and strife. It is given by the Stanley Hall, right? Basically, it can be categorized into the 3 stages of adolescent: early adolescent, mid adolescent, and later. Early adolescent is described in 9 to 13 years. Between 9 to 13 years, this adolescent period is characterized by a spurt of growth and development of his secondary sexual characteristics. Mid-adolescent's age is between 14 to 15, and in this age, adolescent, start developing a separate identity from parents. It started the new relationships with peer groups and the opposite sex, as well as experimentations. Late adolescent is a 16 to 19. So please kindly put your audio off, guys. I'm requesting again and again. Please put your audio video off. Abhi bhi, I'm looking that many please, yes, thank you so much to all of you. Please, sister, actually please put your audio video off, sister. Yes, you can put your audio video off, sister. Yes. 16 to 19 year late adolescent. In this stage, adolescent have developed fully and have formed a distinct identity and have a well-formed opinions and ideas, right, guys? So this is the emotional and social characteristics of the adolescents, right? So first we discuss about the emotional characteristics, then we talk about the social characteristics. What is the emotional characteristics of the adolescents in this period happens? What are the emotional changes goes on, within an individual? we all have crossed this age. Heightening of emotions, mood swings, emotional unstable, high hopes and desire, sense of belonging, expressing emotions, irrational thinking, change in attitude, interest, and interpersonal relationships. Right? And when we talk about the social characteristics, so it is a building relationships, social interest, sexual maturity, seeking social approval, spirit of a selfless services, group loyalty, searching for identity, peer pressure, looking for a new experience, thinking more about right and wrong. So this is all about the social characteristics of adolescents, right? So next topic is need and problems of adolescent, right? So this is the important questions. It always comes, need and problems of adolescents. Okay. So these are the 10 or 12 points which you have to remember, right, guys? We have already discussed these all the topics. So today is our revision class because actually many students joined yet, so they don't know. So I'm taking the revision class of all the 10-12 topics which I have finished earlier, right, guys? So then I start your topics continue. So what are the need and problems of adolescents? First is need for physical activity, needs for love, needs for security, needs for freedom and independence, need for self-expression and achievement, need for recognitions and approval happens na in this period adolescent na. There is a need of recognitions and approval, need for a social life, adjustment problems, adjustment difficulties with school, financial problems, friendship problem, sex problem, physical problem, childhood, adulthood conflict, emotionality, right? These are all the problems, needs and problems of the adolescent. You have to write, and you can, you have to elaborate in the 3 or 4 lines. You already have got the notes also, right, guys? So this is all about the needs and problems. Okay, this all already we have taken. So next topic we already covered. It is a teaching and learning. So all of you can put your audio video off, guys. I'm telling you again and again. Yes, you can put your audio video on mute, all of you. Next is teaching and learning, right? So I start my next slide of teaching and learning. Teaching and learning slide. So this topic we finished now, Anna? Teaching and learning, okay. So this is a teaching and learning, okay. Yes, teaching. What do you understand by the teaching? Teaching is an interactional process, right? In this process, there is an interactions among the teacher, learner, and the learning material. It is a process by which teacher brings the student and the subject matter together. This is the most important topic, guys. This topic comes under your paper 3rd, teaching and learning, right? Okay, these all the 10 topics today I'm revising you. Okay, these all the 10 topics under your paper 1, childhood and growing up, number 2, contemporary educations, Indian education, and 3rd paper is teaching and learning, right? So B.O. Smith, always remember the definition of a Smith. B.O. Smith has said that teaching is a system of actions intended to induce learning. So guys, if there is a teaching, there should be a learning, right? And if there is a learning, there is a modification of behavior. Anna, again, we'll do under the topic learning, right? First, we talk about what are the nature and characteristics of teaching. Okay, so one is a teaching is an interactional process. You have come to know, right? It includes the teacher, it includes the learner and the learning material, right? And the job of a teacher to make the learning material and the learner together. This is the job of the teacher, right, Sister Mercy? Mercy Korean.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, you can put your audio video off. Okay. Actually, 4 times I have told you. Okay. Actually, I have forgotten your name. Just I remembered your name. So then you listen. Thank you so much. The second topic is second nature and characteristics of teaching is matter of drying out. So what is a teaching? all of you remember, whenever I will ask from you, you should know that, hey, sir, it is a matter of drying out. Teaching does not mean pouring into the mind of the student. What is a teaching? Nikalna, drying out from the mind of the student, matter of drying out, right? Again, what is a teaching? Nature and characteristics, pausing to learn, right? Tripolar process, well-planned activity. It is an art, science, cooperative, suggestive, remedial. It involves skill in guiding learning. It is a both formal and informal process. Right, guys? So we have already discussed in detailed, okay, during our previous classes. So today, I'm going quickly so that you will come to know, okay, what topics we have done. Yes, this is an important subheading under the teaching and learning. What are the stages and phases of teaching? So there are always 3 phases of teaching. Always remember, all of guys. One is pre-active, interactive, and post-active, right? What are the 3 stages, 3 phases of teaching? One is pre-active. What happens in the pre-active? In a pre-active stage, you make the notes, right? You plan, right? What you have to teach to the student, how you have to teach to the student, what is the mental level of your student, okay? How you have to motivate the student, how you become the stimulator, right? How you have to become the facilitator, right? Next is interactive stage. Interactive stage is a direct interaction with the student. This is the execution stage. Once you are in the class, you are face to face with the students, right, guys? So here you have to teach with the student with content matter, examples, right? Each and everything, so that their learning power should be aroused, right? And third is the last stage, is the post-active stage. Means this is a stage of a taking feedback by the help of the test, by orally asking the question. So these are the 3 stages of teaching. Always remember, okay? One is pre-active, interactive, and post-active stage, right? Principles. There are some principles of teaching, okay? Some are general principle and some are psychological principle. Every teacher must know what are the general principle and psychological principles of teaching. General means principle of a definite aim, principle of activity, linking with actual life situations, principle of planning, cooperation, individual difference. Means you have to see, na, in your class there are 30 students, some are intelligent, some are average, some are below average. So you have to teach according to their level, right, guys? Principle of a pupil-centeredness, principle of a democracy, principle of a progressiveness, diagnostic and remedial, right? Ye to ho gaye general principle. But psychological principle you must know as being of a teacher. In fact, these are the important ones, right? The first is principle of a motivation. So guys, you have to become motivator, right? You have to encourage the student. Actually, if you ask now, what is the meaning of a teaching in a one line? So it means encouragement, nothing else. It doesn't mean content knowledge. It means stimulating the learning power of the student, encouraging the student, motivating the student. This is called teaching, right? Many teachers, they are lacking their teaching because of this. What they are doing, they are, pouring content matter into the mind of the student. So guys, you should know your student first, right? And you have to give material according to your student, right? Principle of a sympathy and kindness, cooperation, recreation, readiness. Okay, make the student ready to learn, first of all, right? Don't come in the class and start teaching. First, make the student, ready to learn. Providing training to the senses, encouragement, creativity, group dynamics, feedback, and reinforcement, right? These are the psychological principles. Now we talk about, maxims of teaching. What is a maxim? This is basically teaching strategies, okay? Generally means, we have seen that, from lot of research paper and others, we have come to know that if the teacher goes with these all the planning and strategies, their lecture become effective. Okay, so guys, always you have to teach to the students from known to unknown, right? First is proceed from known to unknown. For example, you can take example. For example, in today class, what we are doing? Okay, what we are doing? It is a revision class of all the 10 or 12 topics we have already done. Huh? I didn't start from the new topic, because you have seen that many students log in later on, they join the class. Huh? If I start with the new topic, तो क्या होता, what happens? मतलब they remain behind. Huh? So first I'm discussing from, what you have already known. Now you all are listening, you should know that these topics Lalit sir has already discussed. So today is the revision class. Hana, you whole of the week you will also learn these all the topics, and from the next week same time we will start from ahead, Hana, where we have left. So similarly, in a class where you have left the topic last day, you have to start from there. Number one, this is called known to unknown. And second, whatever the new topic you are going to teach to the student, you don't have to introduce the topic directly. You should start from known fact to the unknown fact, because this topic is unknown for the student. So first of all, you have to give the examples to the students which they already know, right? So then you have to bring your student from known to unknown, simple to complex, concrete to abstract, particular to general, empirical to rational, psychological to logical, actual to representation, definite to indefinite, and last is whole to part, right? So you have to first give the whole knowledge of the student. For example, I have told you we are discussing, all the three papers. One is childhood and growing up, contemporary Indian educations, and second is learning and teaching. So these three papers are interlinked, right? Some theorem, teaching, learning, you will see in the paper 3, some in paper 1 and paper 2. Now you will come to know that these all the topics are not the different topics. Basically, these all the three topics talks about the teaching methodology, right guys? So teacher should have the whole knowledge, right? So these are the some strategies and plannings of maxims of teaching, right? Now we talk about the learning. Till we talked about the teaching. So what is the learning? Learning is equivalent to change, modification, development, improvement, and adjustment. It is a lifelong process. Remember, student, learning never ends. Okay, learning never stops. Even in your unconscious mind, conscious mind, there is a lot of things are happening. Okay. So here we talk about the teaching and learning. When there is a teaching, there should be a learning. If there is a learning, so then there should be a modification of the behavior of the student. If there is a no modification of behavior of the student, so that means your teaching is not successful. How you can evaluate your teaching? You can evaluate your teaching with the help of a learning among the students, right? It starts from the day when a child is born and continues up to his death. Learning is modification of behavior through experience and training set by the Gates. Okay, this definition you have to remember. Some are the factors which influences the learning: maturation, readiness, and once you are ready to learn, you learn quickly. Attitude and aptitude. When you have an attitude to learn, you learn quickly. Capacity, motivation, attention, and interest. Remember, guys, when you take attention, when you take interest, okay, so your learning becomes effective. You can learn each and everything very easily. Attention and interest is called the mother of learning, even grandmother of learning, right? When you start learning with interest, when you start learning with attention, you learn quickly. Memory, mental health, goal, will, intelligence, mental fatigue. Okay, so you have to give in good food in your diet. You have to add, because it affects your learning also, right? So physiological factor: food and nutrition, drugs, physical fatigue, age, good and physical health, physiological defects, handicap, and diseases. You already done. And some are task factor, method, teacher related, atmosphere and working condition, organizational setup, right guys? So you already done these all the factors which is related with the teaching and learning. So next our subheading is, what is the relationship between teaching and learning? Teaching is a task oriented activity. Learning is an achievement oriented activity. Teaching is a system of activities. When you are teaching to the student, there is a lot of things you have into the mind, lot of activities you have to do, which results in learning. Closely related to each other. Every teaching act aims to producing learning. ये बड़ी important line है. This is the most important. Keep in your mind, fit in your mind. Every teaching act aims at producing learning. Otherwise, you are wasting the time of the student. Right? Whenever you have to go for teaching with, all the things ready with, okay, then you have to start your teaching. Teaching is a deliberate attempt is made to make the learners acquire knowledge, skills, and attitude. So guys, with your teaching, what changes you bring into your student? You develop the knowledge of the student. You develop the skill of the student. You develop the attitude of the student. Okay. You make the attitude of the student. So this is the most important things, okay, in your teaching. And if your teaching is not good, so what will happen? Okay, student cannot develop his knowledge, skills, and attitude, right? And you label that student is a weak. Student is not weak at all. Always teacher is weak. Teaching method is weak, right? Research papers has given this thing that, right? Teaching may or may not result in learning, but effective teaching is one which produces learning. Burton, who is a psychologist, educationist, Burton said that teaching is a stimulation. You have to stimulate the learning power of the student. Teaching is a guidance. You have to provide to the guidance to the student. Teaching is the direction. You have to provide the direction to the student. Teaching is the encouragement of learning. You have to become what you have to become. You have to become, motivator, encouragement, right? You have to stimulator. You have to become. So this is all about teaching and learning. I think this is the last topic. Yes, guys. So the fourth topic we have already finished, right? The next topic was which we did trial and error theory, number 5th, and 6th is conditioning theory. Okay. So I'm going to open my slide, trial and error theory, right? So learning we have already done now. So this is the theory of learning, trial and error theory. It was given by the renowned psychologist, American psychologist Thorndike. The name of the topic is trial and error theory of learning. It was given by the Edward Lee Thorndike, an American psychologist. He said that it is also called the pleasure and pain theory, stimulus response theory, bond theory of learning. Thorndike says that learning takes place. He said that learning takes place through trial and error method. Means what he wants to say in a simple terms, he wanted to say that learning takes place through error and method. We learn by making mistakes. Thorndike said that. So when we begin to learn anything, there may be many errors, but as the number of trials goes on increasing and error go on decreasing. So ultimately what happens, we become perfect, and basically we learn from making mistakes. For example, we have to learn how to ride a bicycle. So first we will go on the bicycle. Sometimes we will fall down, and after attempting so many trials, right? So ultimately we will decreasing the all the mistakes we have done, and ultimately one day will come, we will start riding a bicycle, right? So we learning by making mistakes, said by the Thorndike, right? He was a behaviorist, right? And some are the principle and assumption of this theory of trial and error. It involves selection and connection. It is a result of a formation of connections, incremental, not insightful. Means not insightful. This is the important one. It does not talk about persons learn from the memory and what is going inside the mind, right? It is giving less importance to the mental activities, right? Similarly now we are mechanical process, now we are doing the mistakes and we are learning that, okay? Learning requires both practice and reward. SR connection. SR means stimulus response, right? Transfer of learning occurs because of the previously encountered situation. Intelligence is the functions of a number of connections learned, right? So what he wanted to say that intelligence means, after number of a trying, we, do the try again and again, and ultimately we perfect one. So intelligence is measured by the number of trials. He said that. Okay. So basically he was a behaviorist. Okay, Thorndike, and Watson, Thorndike, they all were the behaviorist. They always have in the mind. So they gave many theories on that time during 1920 up to 1920 to 1960. These theories, whole of the world. Okay, they are getting these theory. They are working on those theories. Every teacher was following that theory during 19 to up to 1960 or 1970, right? After the 1970, cognitivism developed. After, you can say that up to the age of up to the 1960, there was a rule of the behaviorism on the word as a part of the teacher. They all were behaviorist, and they wanted that if the student have to learn, we have to give the stimulus. When we will give the stimulus, so ultimately student will give the response. Okay, means they want to say that जो mind is basically a black box, right? There is nothing happens in the mind, okay, according to the behaviorist, right? But when after the 1960 cognitivism came, cognitivism came, talks about all the emotions, sentiments, all the mind activities, right? So we are talking about the one theory, trial and error, which was given by the Thorndike. Actually, Thorndike conducted many experiments on cats and rats, and ultimately he came to know that on this conclusion, he reached that his student learn by making mistake. So one experiment he did on the cat. What he did, he kept the cat into the, one box, and in a box there was a one lever. Okay, when the cat will, press that lever, then the box would open, right? So what happens, cat was hungry for 24 hours. So what he did that after the 24 hours, he placed a fish, a food inside the cage, right? The smell of the food worked as a, motivation for the cat to come out of the cage. So cat started, coming out of the box. Cat started to give, hit the, head with the, bars of the cage and others. So what happens, doing these all the activities. So ultimately, suddenly, the paw of the cat press the lever, and the door of the cage opened. So cat came out of the box and got the reward. So again, this experiment, Thorndike did that. Okay, but he saw that after so many experiments, cat was taking less time to came out of the cage. But what happened at the experiment of a 10th experiment or 11th experiment or a 12th experiment? So what happened? Now the cat has come to know that how to open the cage, how to press the lever. So the moment cat enters into the cage, and a fish was placed again the near the cage, so cat opened the press the lever and came out of the box. So now the cat has learned how to open the door. So similarly, Thorndike, by doing the experiment on cats and rats, he came to know that learning takes place by making mistakes. For example, in a first experiment, cat took lot of time to come out of the cage. When this experiment happened second time, cat took less time, third less time. Ultimately, on the 11th or 12th experiment, so cat took no time to open from the cage. So now the cat has trained. So similarly, by doing the mistakes, okay, ultimately we come to know that how to learn the things. Okay, so based on this theory of learning, okay, conducted experiment on the cat, Thorndike gave us the 3 laws, right? Laws of learning, law of readiness, law of exercise, and law of effect, right? So first of all, Thorndike wants to say that readiness means preparation of action, right? When we are ready to learn, we learn more quickly, right? So Thorndike wants to say that whenever you have to start your topic, first make the student ready. For example, when the cat was hungry, cat was not doing any action within the cage. But when a fish was placed near the cage, right? So fish act as a motivation for the cat to come out of the cage. So fish made the cat to readiness to come out of the cage. So make the student first ready to learn. Second law of exercise. Practice makes a man perfect, right? This law is known as law of practice. Exercise states that organism learn as a result of a repeated trial, practice, and exercise. Okay, so second law, and cat does a lot of practice now. After the practice of it 10 times and 12 times now, she become expert. So similarly, the practice makes a man perfect. This proverb comes out fits to that particular experiment. That third is a law of effect, law of pleasure and pain, law of satisfaction and annoyance. Every activity has an effective stone. Some activity ends in satisfaction, pleasure, and other end in pain. So sometime when you will learn the skill, so it will end with the satisfaction. And if you don't learn the skill, so then it will end in the pain, right? So three laws we have come from this theory. So basically we have to talk about the educational implications of trial and error theory, right? You don't have to give so much emphasis on the cat experiment. Okay, you should know the cat experiment. You have to explain over there in 8 to 10 lines, but most of the pages you have to fill with educational implications. You have to talk about laws, three laws, and educational implications of Thorndike theory, right? So first is readiness is the preparation for action. It is very essential for the teacher to see that child is ready to learn more quickly, effectively, and with great satisfaction when he is ready to learn. The teacher should also make an attempt to motivate the students by arousing their attention, interest, and curiosity. The law effect emphasizes the role of reward and punishment. Practice leads a man towards maturity. Habits are formed as a result of repetition. The teacher can improve his teaching method making use of this theory, right? So you have already seen that there is a lot of topics which demands a lot of practice on the behalf of student also. Okay, so this theory of these are the educational implications of this theory, right? Next theory we talk about this is a conditioning theory, classical conditioning theory, which was given by Ivan Pavlov, right guys? Classical conditioning theory. So under this theory, we will talk about classical conditioning theory, assumptions of that theory. Pavlov also experimented on the dog also. Model of classical conditioning and educational implications. ये full questions आते हैं, right? So when the questions would come, define the classical conditioning theory in detail. So you have to define all the three things. It is a 10-mark questions, right guys? And many times it comes. Classical conditioning theory developed by the Russian physiologist come psychologist. So he was a physiologist as well as psychologist, Ivan Pavlov, during the late 1920s. I already told that 1960 tak what happened. All the behaviorists, they gave the theories of learning, which was based upon behaviorism. So behaviorism ruled up to 1960, right? So this theory was given in 1920. So it is you have come to know that it is also based upon the behaviorism. So it is also known as Pavlovian conditioning theory, condition response theory, condition reflex theory, and respondent conditioning theory. नाम इसके याद कर लो. Sometimes questions would come, respondent conditioning theory. Okay, you should know that it is talking about the classical conditioning theory, right? So now what the Pavlov says. Pavlov says that learning takes place by conditioning. But under the Thorndike theory, the trial and error theory, we have come to know that learning takes place by making mistakes. But in this theory, we are talking about learning takes place by conditioning, right? Pavlov has said that once you condition your child, okay, you will get learning, right? conditioning means association of original response by artificial intelligence, artificial stimulus. Means by giving the artificial stimulus to the student, you can get the original response. Again, he conducted many experiments on cat and dog. Okay, so after conducting one experiment on the dog, he came to know that learning takes place by conditioning. Okay, we will see in the coming slides. First of all, talk about some assumptions or principles of that theory. According to this theory, behavior is learned by repetitive associations between the response and the stimulus. Learning is developed through the interaction with the environment. Environment shapes the behavior and internal mental state and does not take into account any independent activities of the mind like thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Yes, student, this is the most important. Okay, I'm talking about in the trial and error theory now, right? Behaviorism, basically, they don't give much emphasis on the mind activities like thought, feeling, and emotions. Okay, they have in the mind, they have given the theory, we have to give the stimulus, external stimulus to the student, and we can get the learning, right? So these are the Ivan Pavlov, Thorndike, Skinner, Watson, they all were the behaviorists. Okay, so this is the assumptions. So behaviorism basically is a primarily concerned with observable and measurable aspect of human behavior. Behaviorist learning theories emphasize changes in the behavior that results from stimulus response associations made by the learner. Behavior is directed by stimulus. Behaviorists believe that our behavior is determined by forces in the environment that shapes our behavior. Okay, so directly we come on the experiment on the dog so that we will come to learn that how we can condition our student according to the Pavlov. Actually, Pavlov conducted an experiment on the dog. He used to ring the bell before giving the food to the dog. He repeated this activity for several days under the similar conditions. When the food was placed before the dog, the bell was rung. The saliva would secrete in the mouth of the dog. When the dog was given the food, but you know, before given the food, a bell was rung. So when the bell was rung, the dog started secreting saliva because dog comes to know that after you know, after 5 seconds or 10 seconds, no, the food is coming because bell has already rung. After some days, it was observed that only the bell was rung, the food was not placed, but the saliva started secreting. This is an important line, right? So what happens before that? You know, before giving the food to the dog, a bell was rung. But after some days, it was observed by the Pavlov, the only bell was rung, the food was not placed, but the saliva started secreting. It means that natural response, saliva is a natural response and bell is a artificial stimulus. So it means that natural response saliva was obtained by artificial stimulus, which is bell. Instead of giving food, Pavlov named it as a theory of conditioning. When the Pavlov saw that the dog was started secreting the saliva, even the food was not placed. When he observed immediately on that time, that date, that day, he gave the name of this theory. It is a theory of conditioning. Right, guys? So now we discuss. This is the Pavlov conditioning. Ye tha, you know, dog was placed. Okay. So this is all, you know, your food was given. Okay. But before food was given, bell was rung. So after repeating this experiment, one day what happened? He saw that only bell was rung, food was not given to the dog, but dog is starting secreting saliva. What he did that he gave the, you know, pipe of, you know, saliva in the mouth of dog. Okay. So, you know, saliva is coming in the bottle, right? Tube for collecting the saliva, device of counting drops of saliva, right? Okay, now we understand the model of a classical conditioning, because this is the important one, guys, right? So first of all, we understand, okay, UCS, UCR. UCS, UCS plus R, right? CS plus CR, okay? See it model, okay? Right? So first you understand the name. What is the meaning of UCS? It is written, you know, below of number 3rd point. UCS means unconditioned stimulus, food. Okay, first you learn, okay, then I understand to you, okay, I give explanation. UCR means saliva, unconditioned response. CS, bell, conditioned stimulus. CR, saliva, conditioned response. Okay, you have come to know that what is a UCS, what is a UCR. Okay, I explain you, right? So guys, what happens? Okay, first, you know, I take, you know, one example. What happens when you are hungry, when you are appetite for the food? So what will happen? Automatically, you know, sometimes, you know, saliva comes in the mouth, Anna. And you know, when immediately we saw the food, Anna, we are hungry, we are appetite, we are, you know, lot of work we have done that. So you know, ultimately when we saw the food, so you know, saliva start coming in our mouth also, right? So food is a unconditioned stimulus. And there is no conditioning, na? Right? Okay, when the food was placed to the dog, when the food was placed to the dog, food is a unconditioned stimulus. It is not conditioned. It is a unconditioned, right? Food. When the food was placed, so automatically, naturally, saliva would come. So saliva bhi kya hua? What is saliva? Saliva is a unconditioned response. Okay, this is one. Number second, now what happened with the unconditioned stimulus? Okay, it was added bell by the Pavlov, and bell is a conditioned stimulus. When the bell was rung, okay, bell was rung, immediately after the 5 seconds, food was placed. Okay, again the result is UCR, unconditioned response, means saliva is coming, right? And number third, now the food was removed. Okay, only the bell was rung. But ultimately, what is happening again? You know, saliva is also coming. This on the third line, this saliva is coming. Pavlov gave the name of CR, conditioned response. Right? Conditioned stimulus, bell tha, conditioned response, saliva we are getting. Right? This is a model of classical conditioning. And this is the educational implications. Okay, educational implication of this theory. So guys, it is a very, you know, simple, I explain you. For example, okay, you are teaching to your student, huh? If you say that, okay, when you learn, when you come with learning tomorrow, I will give you the toffee as a reward. I will give you the pen as a reward. What will happen? Student will start learning. Anna? This is basically conditioning, right? You have conditioned to the student. When student will go to the home, he will, you know, think in the mind, tomorrow, you know, madam will give me the pen, copy, coffee and chocolates. Okay, he will start learning, he will taking interest in the learning. So basically you have conditioned the student, right? So educational implication says that fear, love, hatred towards a specific subjects are created through conditioning. For example, mathematics teacher with his defective method of teaching and improper behavior in the classroom may be disliked by the learner. The learner develop hatred towards maths due to the teacher's behavior. So sometimes what happens? Syllabus topic is not a difficult. The main thing is that your attitude is not, you know, according to the student, right? Okay. So with the improper behavior, due to your behavior, Anna, if you know mathematics and other subjects are disliked by the student, Anna, you have seen that. So this is this is a mistake of the teachers, improper method, improper behavior, and improper use of the method. That's why now I always say that student is never weak. Only there is a, if there is a weakness between the teacher, between among the teachers. Okay, the good method and kind treatment of the teacher can bring desirable impacts upon the learner. The learner may like the boring subjects because of the teacher's rule. Okay, think about yourself when you were a child. Okay, which subjects you like? Some have the like of, some like the science subject, some like English subject, some like, you know, mathematics subjects. Okay, actually they like the subjects at the childhood because of the teacher. They like the teacher, that's why they like the subject, right? So it is hand of the teacher, they can make your their, you know, subject interesting. So these are all our educational implications of this theory. है ना? I have given you the example, right, guys? So next, so ये भी हमारा हो गया. We are done with this. Okay. So next topic our this is a 6 topic conditioning theory. Number 7 is intelligence and its theory. Hana? We are also done with the intelligence and theory. So I'm going to open the intelligence and theory. So guys, under the intelligence and theory, we'll talk about the meaning of intelligence, characteristics of intelligence, right? Then we'll talk about the 2 theories. One is theory given by the Spearman. Second theory, Thurston group of factor theory. And second, last we talk about the intelligence test. What is intelligence? Okay. Intelligence is defined as the general mental ability to learn, apply knowledge to manipulate your environment, as well as ability to reason and have abstract thought. Stern has said that intelligence is the ability to adjust oneself to a new situation. Alfred Binet has said that intelligence is the ability for judgment or common sense. Jean Piaget has said that intelligence is the ability to adapt to a one surrounding. Any of the definition you can learn, but you must learn at least one definitions, right? You can learn the definition of a Stern. Intelligence is the ability to adjust oneself to a new situation, right? What are the nature characteristics of intelligence? Intelligence means all-around mental efficiency of an individual. And intelligence is an innate power and not acquired. Guys, this is important. You can underline. You can write on your note also. Intelligence is an innate power. It is not acquired, right? Due to the environment, you can increase little bit intelligence, but not much, right? Intelligence is only innate power. Intelligence is the ability of adaptations and adjustment to a new situations by an individual. Intelligence helps the child in maximum learning in a minimum period of time. The child is able to foresee the future and plan accordingly. Intelligence is the ability for abstract thinking as well as the capacity to learn from the past experience. Power of intelligence differ from individual to individual, right? Theories of intelligence. First theory given by the Spearman. Spearman said that intelligence consists of the 2 factors. One is G factor and one is S factor. Okay, see here. One is G factor and one is S factor. Okay. Spearman said that when the child is born, there are 2 factors. One is G factor and one is S factor. G means general, S means specific. He said that the G factor is always same for the same individual and the S factor varies from task to task. For doing any activity, general factor is also involved and some of the S factors are also involved. G factor is the universal inborn. Let me charge my laptop. Okay. So G factor is the universal inborn. G factor is universal inborn ability. Greater G is a individual leads to a greater success in life. And S factor is acquired. So he is talking about we have done the nature and characteristics of intelligence. Now, intelligence is an innate power, can't be acquired. But he has said that S factor is acquired from the environment. It varies from activity to activity in the same individual. Okay. So next we talk about the Thurston group factor theory, right? So this is a very simple theory. Spearman only talk about the 2 factors. One is G factor and one is S factor, right? G factor is a sabhi mein hota hai. It is a, he has said that it is a universal inborn, right? We can increase our S factor, specific factor from the environment by looking, by adopting, by acquiring, right? But Thurston second theory of intelligence is called Thurston group factor theory. Thurston didn't talk about the G and S factor. Thurston talk about the different kind of intelligence person has. Thurston has given 7 type of intelligence when the baby is born. 7 types of intelligence he comes with. If for example, first you have come with the verbal comprehension. If you have a good verbal comprehension intelligence, so you can understand the meaning of word, concept and ideas effectively. Okay, when you have a good numerical ability, so you can do the numerical calculation rapidly and accurately. If you have a word fluency intelligence, you can express the words or find the words at appropriate time. Okay, memorizing ability, spatial, perceptual and reasoning. So similarly, guys, you have seen that, okay, some child has a different kind of intelligence. Suppose if they have the numerical ability, so they can solve the numerical very easily. Some don't have the numerical ability, but they have the good verbal comprehension. Some have the reasoning ability. So these are the different abilities. If anyone has dominate of that, intelligence, right? So then he would be better in that particular intelligence. He doesn't talk about the general and S, he talks about the 7 intelligence, right? So it is a third strength group factor theory. Now we talk about what intelligence is not. Sometimes we correlate, we say that information is intelligence, knowledge is intelligence, wisdom. So these are the different words. Information is not intelligence. Information means what happens. Information, we get the information from the internet, books and others, but it doesn't mean we can increase our intelligence, right? Knowledge is not intelligence. Knowledge is a collection of skills and information a person has acquired through experience. Knowledge is also not intelligence. You can't say if you are knowledgeable, you can say that you are intelligent. It does not happen, because we have done that under the nature and characteristics. Intelligence is an innate power, right? Means it depends upon your genes. It depends on your parents' intelligence, grandparents' intelligence, right? Wisdom is not intelligence. Wisdom doesn't come with the age. Even a child can become more wiser than adult. An illiterate wife can be more wiser than a literate wife, said by the Mahatma Gandhi. So guys, this was about the intelligence. So yes, some of the intelligence tests, okay, it is not in your syllabus, right? So we are done with the intelligence topic. Also we have revised. Okay, next topic, we finished that. We already discussed Indian Education Commission, National Policy on Education and Lesson Plan, right? So already 6 o'clock. Okay, 7 o'clock, I take 5 minutes. So this topic, so quickly we revise this topic. National Policy on Education 1986. Okay, so this policy came in 1986, National Policy on Education. So guys, what happened before 1986? Okay, when you are in a Punjab and Haryana and other states, there is a different kind of a syllabus in other states. Okay, so but in National Policy on Education 1986, when it came, so basically it has solved the educational problems, right? And now you have already know that new education policy 2021 has come. So you can see that after 37 years, okay, new policy have come. Okay, so they are after so many years, okay, new education policy came, right? So directly we talk about the recommendations of the National Policy on Education 1986. We have already discussed, so we go quickly. So National Policy of Education, what was the aim, recommendations? All-round development of a human resources and manpower. Okay, cultivating moral and ethical values in international cooperations and peaceful coexistence. National system of education. So 1986 policy came with the national system of education, means one kind of education should be applied to whole country. Common education structure, he came with the common education structure 10 plus 2 plus 3. After 1986, okay, you can see that whosoever is a graduate and other, he has followed the 10th class plus 2 class, 2 year plus 2 class. After the plus 2, he has to do the degree. So then he has to give the 3 years, 10 plus 2 plus 3. This is called. But new education policy, what says? 5 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3. 5 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4, right? Means 4 year की इन्होंने degree बना दी है. Earlier degree was of a 3 year, 10 plus 2 plus 3. But new education policy talks about the 4 year degree, right? So national curriculum framework, national policy of education 1986 is, it also came with national curriculum framework. It means there is a one kind of a curriculum which will apply to whole of the country. Education for equality. Okay, now there is a no caste, color and creed. Because of that, you have to give the educations to all the persons. Equality, it talks about. Promotion of a peace and understanding among nations, right? Talks about promotion of a peace and understanding in the nations. Promotion of national pride, promotion of link and other language, promotion of inter-regional mobility, national support for implementing programs and lifelong education. So these are all the recommendations. So basically you have to learn the recommendations in National Policy on Education, right? Okay, and after that we talk about the Indian Education Commission. So this commissions came in 1960-64. This commissions, you already know that it also called the Kothari Commission, right guys? Sometimes this question comes, you know, the name of the topic is Indian Education Commission. Sometime question comes, explain the Kothari Commission in detail. So guys, you should know that it is talking about Indian Education Commission. Who was Kothari? Kothari was director of that commission, right? Right? Kothari Commission was set up in 1960. Dr. D.S. Kothari. He was the chairman of that commission, right? So directly we talk about recommendation of that commissions. Okay. It also talks about, because there are a lot of problems in the education system. So these commissions came with some recommendations, okay, policies and recommendations, okay. So you should know that what are the goals and objectives of that commission. So it talks about education for increasing productivity, education for accelerating process of modernization, education for promoting social and national integration, education for inculcations of a national values, right? So these things, these goals and objectives, you have to talk about, you know, in detail under a national policy of Indian Education Commission, ya Kothari Commission. It also talks about free and compulsory education. You know that the Article 45 also says that, okay, up to the age of 14, every school has to give free and compulsory education. Not even a school can take the any charge from the student up to the age of 14. Programs should be developed to reduce the prevailing wastage and stagnation in schools and to ensure universal enrollment. Right? Language policy comes with education for democracy, expanding secondary and higher education, development of a scientific mind and outlook, education for social, moral, and spiritual values. Right? And 10+2+3 system. It also introduced, okay, but it was executed in 1986. It also talks about science education, work experience, vocationalization. Yes, this is important, right? Well, after the 10th, education should be such type, there should be a vocation, so that after the education, one can earn his bread and butter, right, guys? So this is all about the, Indian Education Commission. And, last topic we done with lesson plan, right, guys? So lesson plan, you know that what is a lesson plan? Lesson plan basically a planning for the lessons before going into the class, right? Stevenson, there is a one definition of a Stevenson. Stevenson has said that to every teacher, I would say that prepare your lesson beforehand, but do not be slave to it, right? So what is a lesson plan? Lesson plan basically talks about before going into the class, teacher must prepare the lesson, right? So lesson planning, we already discussed what is lesson plan, need and importance of lesson plan, what are the steps of lesson plan, characteristics of a lesson plan, format of lesson plan, and example of a one lesson plan, right, guys? So what is the need and importance of lesson plan? It builds the confidence in the teacher. Happens na? When you go in the class with preparation of the lesson, it builds your confidence. It prevents wastage and time and energy. If your lesson is not prepared, so what will happen? You will waste the time of the student and energy also, right? It makes teaching systematic and organized. When your lesson is prepared, definitely it makes your teaching system and organized. Okay, we are talking about need and importance of lesson planning. Okay, when your lesson is prepared well, you can make use of a teaching effectively. It stimulates the hidden learning power of the student. It makes use of a time management, enhance effective teaching. It gives clear directions to daily work, recalling every step of a curriculum, and makes evaluation process. So these are all need and importance of a lesson plan. Okay, now we talk about steps of lesson plan. Herbert एक हुए हैं बेटा educationist guys. So Herbertian approach has given these 6 steps. Means Herbert wants to say to every teacher before going into the class, keep in mind that these 6 steps of lesson planning. One is introduction, presentation, comparison, generalization, application, and recapitulation, right? So I understand from here, introduction means Herbert wants to say that if you have to go into class, so you have to prepare your lesson first. Okay, one day before you have to plan your lesson. Presentation. Now you are interacting with the student. You have to teach to the student with different kind of examples, daily activities examples you can take with your topic also. Comparison. When you have to teach to the student, you have to compare a new thing with the old knowledge of the student. So when the lesson is understood by the student, when you are teaching, you have to generalize the lesson, what you have obtained from the lesson. Okay, then tell the student what is the application of today's topic, which you have taught to the student. And last May, you have to do the wind up your topic, and recapitulation means evaluation process. Okay, you have to ask last 5 minutes, you have to ask some questions from the student in order to know that whether the student has got your lesson or not, right? So these are the steps of the lessons plan, right guys? Now characteristics of a good lesson plan, what kya hoti hai, right? General and important objectives should be clear, defined, stimulate the hidden learning power of the student. Good lesson plan should be written in good form. Subject, time, class, average age of student should be mentioned based on previous knowledge of the student. Important one, huh? Right? Characteristics of a good lesson plan. Dekhiye, these are 2 points are most important. Good lesson plan should be based upon previous knowledge. It should be based upon interest, aptitude, needs, capacity, and abilities of the student. Important examples should be included in the lesson plan to prevent irrelevant material to be taught. Ab how to write a lessons plan? So lesson plan mein PT roll number, subject, topic, class, duration, date. First of all, you have to define. So these things we will do later, right? In the lessons plan. So you have to, learn from here, characteristics of a lessons plan and earlier need and, need and importance of lesson plan, steps and characteristics of a good lesson plan. Okay. What is the format of a lessons plan? An example. So I will, we'll discuss in the next week. Right, guys? So guys, these are your, 10 topics which we have already discussed. Okay, these were your topics. So this was, today's class, right? So today's was, revision class of the B.Ed topics of according to the syllabus of Kurukshetra University, which, some topics we have already covered. Okay, we covered these 10 or 12 topics. We have revised these topics. So guys, from the next Sunday, we will go, ahead one by one. We will cover, all your paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, and paper 5. And after the 5 paper, we will talk about the teaching subjects, right? And mostly you have got the, SST and English, okay? But even if you have got, other subjects combinations, so we will discuss those topics also, right, guys? Now, after the class, now I'm going to finish my class. Right, guys? So up to tomorrow, you will get the videos of these all the lessons, right, in detail. Number one, and number second, you will get the recorded lessons of today's lecture. Number second, and number third, you will get the notes of all the 10 topics, right? After 1 or 2 days. And guys, please go for my LMS. Okay, I have already told you about the LMS. Right, so LMS you can with my website, right, wintechedu.com. Okay guys, so you can go with the LMS. You have to write here wintechedu.com. I've already told you now how to make your username and password. This is the student login. You have to log in this. So box will come, student login box will come, and you have to go for the registration. You can create your username and password. So I'm putting all my lectures in this website also. So by getting a username and password, you can also get from here also. Right, guys? So thank you so much for the today's class. If you have any questions, you can ask from me. Right, guys? Otherwise, recorded lessons and others, I will tell you, right, after the class. So thank you so much. So I'm going to stop the lesson, stop the recording. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you.